Oops. We forgot to order a cake for him, my dad said casually at my son's birthday. My brother snickered. Guess he'll learn early, not everyone gets celebrated. I just smiled. That night, I shut off their utilities and pulled back every transfer I made. By morning, the house was dark and their group chat was nothing but panic. My name is Derek. I am 36 years old. And if there is one thing I have learned in 36 years, it is this: reliability makes you invisible. I was always the one they called when the rent came up short. The one who transferred money without asking questions. The one who picked up the phone at 2 in the morning because someone needed a ride, needed cash, needed something fixed. For 20 years, I played that role: dependable Derek, steady Derek, the son who never caused problems, never asked for much, never made a scene. My younger brother, George, was different. George was the kind of person who walked into a room and owned it, charismatic, charming, the kind of son parents brag about at dinner parties. He could do no wrong. When he crashed his car at 19, Dad laughed it off as a rite of passage and bought him another one. When he dropped out of college to pursue a business idea that went nowhere, Mom called it entrepreneurial spirit. When he moved back home at 28 with nothing but debt and excuses, they called it temporary. Meanwhile, I had put myself through community college while working full-time. Bought my first car with savings I scraped together over 3 years, moved out at 22, and never asked them for a dime. I built a quiet life, got married, had a son, divorced 3 years later, but kept my head down and kept going. My son, Travis, became my entire world. Nobody asked how I was doing. Nobody wondered if I needed help when my marriage fell apart. But when Mom's car needed new tires, my phone rang. When Dad's credit card bill came due, my phone rang. When George wanted to take his girlfriend on vacation, my phone rang. And every time I answered, every time I sent the money, I told myself it was what family did. I told myself they would do the same for me if I needed it. I told myself that love sometimes looks like a bank account that never says no. But love is supposed to go both ways. I started noticing small things over the years: the way they talked over me at family dinners, the way my birthday came and went without a card while George got surprise parties, the way Travis's name barely came up in conversations while George's imaginary future children were already being planned for. My son existed in the margins of their lives, an afterthought, a footnote, just like me. Still, I kept paying, kept showing up, kept pretending it did not bother me. That is what dependable people do: we absorb, we endure, we tell ourselves it will balance out eventually. It never does. Last month, Travis turned 7. He had been talking about his birthday for weeks, wanted a superhero theme, wanted his friends from school to come over, and wanted Grandpa, Grandma, and Uncle George to be there. Because despite everything, he loved them. He did not see what I saw, he just saw family. I planned everything carefully, rented a small community center, ordered decorations, sent out invitations, and yes, I asked my parents if they could handle the cake. One thing, just the cake. They said yes. They said they would take care of it. Mom even said she was excited to pick something special. I should have known better. The party was going well, 12 kids running around in capes, laughter, games. Travis's face glowing with joy. I stood near the snack table watching him, feeling something close to peace. This was what mattered, this moment, my son happy. My parents arrived late. George strolled in even later, phone in hand, barely looking up. But they were there. That was something, I told myself. That was something. When it came time to sing happy birthday, I went to the kitchen area to get the cake. The table was empty, no box, no bakery bag, nothing. I walked back into the main room. My father was leaning against the wall, arms crossed, talking to George. I approached slowly, a knot forming in my stomach. "Dad, where's the cake?" He looked at me blankly for a second, then his expression shifted into something casual, too casual. He shrugged. "Oops, we forgot to order a cake for him." The words hung in the air, flat, unapologetic. He said it the way someone might mention forgetting to buy milk. No big deal, just a small oversight. My mother stood beside him, looking uncomfortable, but silent. She did not correct him, did not apologize, just looked away. George snickered. Actually snickered. He leaned toward Dad and said, loud enough for me to hear, "Guess he'll learn early, not everyone gets celebrated." Something cold settled into my chest. A weight I had carried for years suddenly became unbearable. I looked at my son across the room, surrounded by his friends, waiting for the cake that was never coming. He had not noticed yet, but he would, in a minute, maybe 2, he would ask where the cake was, and I would have to tell him that his grandparents forgot, that his uncle thought it was funny. I forced a smile, the kind of smile that costs something, the kind that leaves a mark. "No problem," I said quietly. "I will handle it." I walked out of the community center, got in my car, and drove to the nearest grocery store. Bought a plain sheet cake, had them write Travis's name on it in blue icing, drove back. The whole time, my hands were shaking, not from anger, not yet, but from something deeper, a realization that was finally breaking through years of denial. They did not forget. You do not forget a child's birthday cake. You do not forget when you promised. You do not forget unless that child and that promise meant nothing to you. When I walked back in with the store-bought cake, Travis's face lit up anyway, because he was 7, because he still believed people kept their promises. I sang happy birthday with the other parents, cut the cake, handed out slices. And the whole time, my father and George stood in the corner talking, laughing, completely unbothered. My mother came over once briefly and touched my arm. "I am sorry," she whispered. "We have just been so busy. Too busy to order a cake. Too busy to care about a 7-year-old boy who loved them. Too busy to show up for the one thing I had asked them to do." I nodded, said nothing. What was there to say? That night, after the party ended, after I cleaned up alone while my family left without offering to help, after I tucked Travis into bed and listened to him say it was the best birthday ever, I sat in my kitchen in the dark and I stopped lying to myself. This was not love. This had never been love. I did not sleep that night. I sat at my kitchen table staring at my phone, scrolling through years of messages, requests, always requests. Can you cover this? Can you send that? Can you help with this bill, this car payment, this trip, this emergency that was never really an emergency? I opened my banking app, pulled up the transaction history, started counting, rent payments, utility bills, car insurance, groceries, medical bills, vacations I was not invited on, dinners I did not attend. I had been paying for their lives while they erased mine. $63,000 over 8 years. $63,000, and they could not order a cake for my son. I thought about all the times I had justified it, told myself it was temporary, told myself they were going through a rough patch, told myself family helps family. But it was never temporary. And I was never family. I was a resource, a safety net, an ATM that never said no. The memories came in waves. My 16th birthday when they canceled my party to take George to a basketball tournament 3 hours away. My college graduation when they showed up late and left early because George had a date that night. My wedding where my father spent his speech talking about George's future. My divorce when nobody called to ask if I was okay. And now this, my son, my only child, the one person in the world I would do anything for, and they could not even pretend to care. Update 2. Oops. We forgot to order a cake for him, my dad said casually at my son's birthday. My brother snickered. Guess he'll learn early, not everyone gets celebrated. I just smiled. That night, I shut off their utilities and pulled back every transfer I made. By morning, the house was dark and the group chat was nothing but panic. I felt something shift inside me. Something fundamental. For 20 years, I had bent myself into shapes that made other people comfortable. I had swallowed my pride, swallowed my anger, swallowed my pain. I had told myself it was strength, maturity, love. It was not. It was fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of being the bad guy. Fear of admitting that the people who were supposed to love me did not. But sitting there in the dark, looking at 63,000 reasons why I should have walked away years ago, I realized something else. I was not afraid anymore. The next morning, I called in sick to work. I did not need the day off to rest. I needed it to think, to plan, to finally stop reacting and start acting. I pulled up every account, every bill, every automatic payment I had set up over the years. The list was longer than I expected. Their mortgage payment, which I had been covering for 6 months after Dad's hours got cut. The electric bill, because Mom said it was too expensive and she needed help. The water bill, the internet, George's car insurance, because he could not afford it after his last business venture failed. The credit card I had added them to as authorized users, which they used freely and never paid down. I had built their comfortable life, and they had built it on my back. I opened a spreadsheet, started documenting everything, dates, amounts, screenshots, bank transfers, text message requests. I worked methodically, without emotion. This was not revenge. Not yet. This was inventory. I needed to see the full picture before I decided what to do next. By noon, I had it all laid out, a complete financial map of their dependence on me. And the map showed one clear truth. Without me, their lives would collapse in a matter of days. I sat back in my chair, stared at the screen. Part of me felt sick. Part of me felt something else, power, control, the sudden sharp awareness that I was not the weak one in this family. I never had been. I was the foundation, and foundations, when they shift, bring everything down with them. I picked up my phone, looked at the family group chat. The last message was from George, a meme about someone forgetting something important, posted that morning. He thought it was funny. He thought yesterday was funny. I typed a message, then deleted it. Typed another, deleted that, too. Words felt insufficient. Explanations felt like giving them ammunition. Apologies felt like betrayal to myself and to my son. So, I said nothing. I closed the group chat, opened my banking app, and one by one, I started canceling payments. Mortgage autopay canceled, electric bill autopay canceled, water canceled, internet canceled, car insurance canceled, credit card frozen, reported as potentially compromised, users removed. It took less than an hour, years of support dismantled in 53 minutes. I felt nothing, no guilt, no hesitation, just a cold, clear certainty that this was right, that I was done, that they had taken their last thing from me. I sent one email to the utility companies, to the mortgage servicer, to the insurance company, simple, professional, effective. I am no longer financially responsible for this account. Please update your records immediately. Then I closed my laptop, picked up Travis from school, made him dinner, helped him with homework, put him to bed, lived my life while theirs quietly began to unravel. The call started the next afternoon. 3 from Mom, 4 from Dad, 7 from George. I let them all go to voicemail. I was in a meeting at work when the texts started flooding in. Derek, the mortgage payment bounced. Call me. Why is the electric company saying our account is past due? Did you forget to pay the bills? Call me ASAP. I read them during my lunch break. Felt nothing. They still thought this was a mistake, an oversight, the same way they forgot my son's cake. Oops. No big deal. Just call Derek and he will fix it. But I was not fixing anything. Not this time. By evening, the tone shifted. The messages got sharper, more desperate. Derek, this is not funny. We need you to call us back right now. The internet is out. George has work to do. You need to handle this. Why are you ignoring us? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with me? I almost laughed. 20 years of supporting them, and the first time I stopped, I am the problem. The doorbell rang at 8:30. I knew who it would be before I opened it. My father stood on my porch, arms crossed, face red. Behind him, George leaned against the car, phone in his hand. "What the hell is going on?" Dad said, no greeting, no preamble, just anger. I looked at him, this man who raised me, this man who forgot my son's birthday cake, this man who had taken $63,000 from me without a second thought. "I stopped paying your bills," I said calmly. He stared at me like I had spoken a foreign language. "What?" "I stopped paying your bills, your mortgage, your utilities, George's car insurance, all of it. I am done." "You cannot just." "I can." I did. George pushed off the car, walked up the steps. "Dude, what is your problem? We need that stuff. You cannot just cut us off." I looked at him, my younger brother, the golden child, the one who learned early that he was more important than everyone else, the one who joked that my son should learn not everyone gets celebrated. "Then do not ask me when the lights go off," I said. The words hung in the cold air between us. Dad's face went from red to pale. George opened his mouth, then closed it. For once, he had nothing to say. "You are seriously going to do this," Dad said finally. "Over a cake?" And there it was. He still did not understand. He thought this was about a cake, about one moment, one mistake. He had no idea this was about 20 years, about invisibility, about a grandson he could not bother to care for. "This is not about a cake," I said quietly. "This is about everything. And I am done." I stepped back, closed the door, locked it. Stood there in my entryway, listening to them argue on the other side, listening to Dad call my name, listening to George kick the door frame, listening to them drive away, and I felt, for the first time in years, free. They tried everything. For 3 days, my phone never stopped, voicemails, texts, emails, even a handwritten letter from my mother that arrived in my mailbox asking me to reconsider, saying she was sorry, saying they just needed a little more time. Time. As if time would change anything, as if I had not given them 20 years already. The group chat, which had been silent after my last visit, suddenly came alive, but not with apologies, with blame. "This is childish. You are punishing Mom and Dad for no reason. We are family. You do not abandon family." I read every message. Did not respond to a single one. Let them spiral. Let them panic. Let them feel, for once, what it was like to need someone who was not there. Meanwhile, I did my homework, called the mortgage company, confirmed that my name was not on the loan, that I had no legal obligation, that my voluntary payments could stop at any time. Called the utility companies, same answer. Called the credit card company, explained that the authorized users had been making charges without my consent. They froze the account immediately. Everything I had done was legal. Everything I had done was within my rights. They could not force me to keep paying. Could not guilt me into continuing. Could not do anything except face the reality they had been avoiding for years. They needed me. I did not need them. On the 4th day, the power went out at their house. Mom called me crying, actually crying. "Derek, please. We are sitting in the dark. Your father is on the phone with the electric company, but they want $800 to turn it back on. We do not have it. Please." $800. I had sent them more than that last month alone. Where did it go? On what? George's new shoes. Dad's weekend trip. Another dinner they did not invite me to. Final update. Oops. We forgot to order a cake for him, my dad said casually at my son's birthday. My brother snickered. Guess he'll learn early, not everyone gets celebrated. I just smiled. That night, I shut off their utilities and pulled back every transfer I made. By morning, the house was dark and their group chat was nothing but panic. "I am sorry, Mom," I said. And I meant it. I was sorry that it had come to this, sorry that they had never valued me enough to avoid it, sorry that my son would grow up without grandparents who loved him. But I was not sorry enough to change my mind. "How can you do this?" she said, her voice breaking. "How can you be so cruel?" Cruel? I had been called a lot of things in my life, dependable, reliable, steady, but never cruel. It was almost funny. The moment I stopped letting them use me, I became the villain. "I have to go," I said. Hung up. Blocked the number. One by one, I blocked them all. Mom, Dad, George, every relative who sent me a message telling me I was wrong, every person who had benefited from my silence and was now angry that the free ride was over. By the end of the week, my phone was quiet. My home was peaceful. Travis and I had dinner together, just the two of us. We talked about his day at school, about his favorite superhero, about the new book he was reading. He did not ask about Grandma and Grandpa. He did not ask why we were not visiting. He was 7. He moved on. I wished I could move on as easily, but I had one more thing to do, one final piece to put into place. I pulled out the folder I had been building, bank statements, text messages, receipts, 8 years of financial support, documented and organized. I did not know if I would ever need it, but if they tried to take me to court, if they tried to claim I owed them something, if they tried to paint me as the bad guy to anyone who mattered, I would be ready. I was done being the invisible one, done being the easy target. If they wanted a fight, I would give them one, but it would be a fight they could not win. 2 weeks after I cut them off, I received a letter, not from my parents, from a lawyer. They were threatening to sue me for financial abandonment, claiming I had created a dependence, that I had a moral and legal obligation to continue support, that my sudden withdrawal constituted financial abuse. I read it twice, then I laughed, actually laughed, because they had no idea what they had just walked into. I called my own lawyer the same day, a woman named Madison who specialized in family law. I brought her everything: the spreadsheet, the screenshots, the bank statements, the text messages where they demanded money and I complied, the messages where they mocked my son, the timeline of their broken promises. Madison looked through it all, her expression getting colder with each page. When she finished, she looked up at me and said, "They do not have a case. And if they try to push this, we can countersue for documented emotional and financial exploitation." "Will it come to that?" I asked. "Probably not. I will send them a response. Once they see what we have, they will back down. People like this always do." She was right. 3 days later, their lawyer sent a withdrawal notice, no apology, no explanation, just a quiet retreat. But I was not done. I drove to their house on a Saturday morning, parked in the driveway, walked up to the door, and knocked. My father answered, looking older than I remembered, tired, worn down. "Derek," he said quietly. "I did not think you would come." I did not think I would either. We stood there for a moment, the man who raised me, the man I had spent half my life trying to please, the man who forgot my son's birthday cake. "Can we talk?" he asked. "No." I pulled an envelope from my jacket, handed it to him. He opened it slowly. Inside was a single sheet of paper, a bill for $63,000, itemized, dated. Every payment I had ever made, listed in black and white. "This is what I gave you over 8 years," I said. "I am not asking you to pay it back. I am just making sure you know what it cost me. What you cost me." He stared at the paper, said nothing. "You forgot his cake," I said. My voice was steady, calm, but underneath there was steel. "Not because you were busy, not because you forgot, because he did not matter to you. Because I did not matter to you. And I am done pretending that is okay. Derek, I do not want to hear it. I do not want an apology. I do not want a justification. I just want you to know that you had a son who loved you, a grandson who adored you, and you threw it away for nothing." I turned to leave. He called my name. I did not stop. As I drove away, I saw him standing in the doorway, still holding the paper. My mother appeared beside him. George's car was in the driveway, but he did not come out. They were a family, just not mine. The funny thing about cutting people off is that you expect to feel guilty. You expect to feel like you made a mistake, like you were too harsh, too cruel. But as I drove home, windows down, music playing, I felt nothing but relief. They would figure it out or they would not. Either way, it was no longer my problem. I had spent 20 years carrying their weight. Now they could carry their own. 3 months passed. I heard through a distant cousin that they had to downsize, sold the house, moved into a smaller place across town. George got a job, a real one, 9 to 5. Dad picked up extra shifts. Mom stopped sending me letters. The family group chat still existed, but I was no longer in it. I did not miss it. Travis and I built a new life, smaller, quieter, but ours. We had Friday movie nights, Saturday morning pancakes, Sundays at the park. I taught him how to ride a bike without training wheels. He taught me how to play his favorite video game. We were a team, a family of 2, and that was enough. Sometimes late at night, I thought about them, wondered if they understood what they had lost, wondered if they missed me, wondered if they ever apologized to each other for the way they treated us. Probably not. People like that rarely change. They just find someone else to lean on. But that was not my problem anymore. One afternoon, Travis came home from school and told me his teacher had asked the class to draw a picture of their family. He showed me his drawing, 2 stick figures, one tall, one small, both smiling, no one else. "Is this okay?" he asked, looking worried. I did not draw Grandma and Grandpa. I knelt down next to him, looked at the picture. 2 people. That was all we needed. "It is perfect," I said. He smiled, taped it to the fridge, and that was that. I did not hate my family. I did not wish them harm. I just stopped wishing they would change, stopped hoping they would wake up one day and realize what they had done, stopped waiting for an apology that would never come. I let go. And in letting go, I found something I had been searching for my entire life: peace. The kind of peace that comes from knowing you did the right thing, not the easy thing, not the thing people expected, but the right thing for you, for your child, for your future. I was no longer invisible, no longer the family ATM, no longer the dependable one who swallowed his pain and kept giving. I was just Derek, a father, a man who knew his worth, a man who chose himself. And that was enough.